What is going on, guys? Well, there was not much going on this week, besides a couple of things that were already expected to happen, but today we got hit with some interesting news during this part of the off season where a lot of rumors are flying through the roof. Let's get into it. Well, to start off, Kyle Duggar got his extension that everyone was hoping he would get. Now, you may see it as an overpayment. You may see it as something that's fair. At the end of the day, he got a 4-year, $58 million contract extension, so he will not be playing on the transition tag this year. The deal is worth up to $66 million, and $32.5 million are guaranteed. So that breaks down to $14.5 million a year, which puts him at the sixth highest paid safety in the league. I believe that's a fair deal. You were going to have to overpay a little bit for him, considering how the safety market's been going this offseason. And you get a player that's been solid for you since the day he was drafted. He's a good leader in the locker room and provides a lot of help. Very versatile, can play in the front seven, in the box, or outside in coverage. So he offers a lot for your team. Good re-sign. Elliot Wolf again brings back a player drafted by Belichick, trying to build a culture here. Now, into the interesting stuff. QB rumors for the draft are flying all over the place. We talked recently, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, about the NFL execs. Many of them at the NFL annual meeting, believed that J.J. McCarthy was high up on the Patriots draft board, that we could go in that direction, that he shows the tangibles that the other prospects don't. Well, now we're hearing that McCarthy is also high up on the Commanders list, and that it shouldn't come as a shocker if Washington picks J.J. McCarthy on draft day with the number 2 overall pick. This is interesting because now, on top of that, today, Evan Silva, who I have honestly never heard of, sent out a tweet, and I was debating seeing this as legitimate or not, but he is followed by Adam Schefter, he is followed by Ian Rappaport, Mike Reese, Andrew Callahan at the Boston Globe. So if they're picking up what he's putting down, then so will I. He reported today that Jaden Daniels is, quote, intent on playing for New England after his meetings with Washington did not go smoothly, end quote. Well, isn't that interesting? 2 months ago, it was looking like we were going to get Daniels. Drake May was consensus pick to Washington. Then everyone started to watch the film and realize the high floor that Jaden Daniels possesses. And you started to see the shift. Daniels going 2, and Drake May falling to the Patriots at 3. Well, the tables could be turning again. Washington could be going for Drake May, which isn't that music to my ears. If we could get Jaden Daniels at 3, that's what I've wanted the whole time. I accepted the fact that we were getting Drake May. Now, it's up in the air again, potentially. I will say, though, right now is a time in NFL media where a lot of illegitimate rumors are flying around. So take everything that you hear with a grain of salt. There is nothing locked in. and the media wants to make it at least appear like nothing is locked in. So they're going to say whatever they can to stir the pot, keep people entertained, and, well, you've got my attention now. So, I'm not going to get my hopes up on Jayden Daniels falling to us at number 3, but I'm also not just going to shove this to the side like it's nothing. It's interesting to see how that will play out. Lesser news, but still some interesting stuff for us fans. The Patriots announced on their Instagram today some number changes for players. Christian Gonzalez will be switching from 6 that he wore in his rookie season to 0 that he wore in college at Oregon. KJ Osborne will be switching from the 17 he wore in Minnesota to number 2, a fresh start and a new number for KJ Osborne. I love it. Pop Douglas, this is probably my favorite one. He's switching from 81, which is a great number that some really tremendous players have worn in New England. He will be switching from 81 to number 3, which is just super clean, I think. Jacoby Brissett wore 12 in Washington last year, will now be switching to 14. He wore number 7 in his rookie year with the Patriots, but will be wearing 14 this time around in New England. Sion Takitaki that we signed away from the Browns, wearing number 44, will be switching to 16. I'm not a fan of that one. I'm a big fan of 44, but besides that, Antonio Gibson, the new running back that we signed from the Commanders, will be switching from 24 to 21. Jalen Hawkins, who wore 37 in his brief stint with the Chargers, will be reverting back to the number he wore with the Falcons his first 3 years in the league, and that will be number 32. Nick Leverett, switching from 60 to 51. He's our offensive guard. Some versatility there. Will probably be a backup, so you won't see number 51 on the field a lot, but an interesting change in number there. Another number that's held some weight in our organization in the past. Michael Jordan will be wearing 74 this year, switching from 73. And Chukwuma Okorafor, what's looking right now to be our starting left tackle, unfortunately, switched from 76 to 77 with us. At least he's got a good offensive tackle number. Austin Hooper will be wearing 81, which he's repped for every team he's played for during his career in the NFL. Kawan Baker, who made multiple stints with the Saints, both wearing 14 and 87, will officially be wearing 86 with the Patriots. And Armon Watts will be wearing 94, the same number he wore with the Steelers. Now that that's out of the way, that was a long list of jersey swaps, but something interesting. There's not much to talk about, so we talked about that. Anywho, I did want to look at some potential wide receiver trades for the Patriots. All play the X receiver position that I've been saying is really the biggest obligation for this Patriots team outside of quarterback. All names you've heard rumored to come to New England already, but these are reasonable deals I think that could be made. These players are all on the last year of their contract or playing under the franchise tag. So maybe their teams don't want to pay them, which means we can trade for them and give them the money that we have and that these players want. First on the list, Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins, probably the receiver that we saw rumored to come here the most on this list. He was franchise tagged in March by the Bengals, but definitely did not solidify that he would be playing for them next season. Really impressive player. He's just a tick under 6'4", 220 pounds, and 25 years old. So he's just entering his prime now. The thing that will make him come at a cheaper cost, I think, is the fact that he has no Pro Bowls and no All-Pros in his career. Why is that? Well, he's playing with Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase. So when you're playing with two talented wide receivers like that, you're not going to get the best statistics you could possibly have. This past season, he only played in 12 games, and he recorded 42 receptions, 656 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Now, if you convert that to a 17-game season, he would have finished with 60 receptions, 929 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So it shows you the type of player he is. He's just your classic jump ball type of receiver, go up and grab it, which is exactly what we need on our team. He's been super consistent throughout his career in his play style and production. Unfortunately, he does have a little bit of trouble staying on the field due to injuries. He missed 5 games last year, as I said. He missed a game in 2022, which is completely fine, and then missed 3 games in 2021. So, not too bad of a problem. Not something that's probably going to deter you from paying the guy or trading for him and then paying him, but something that's worth noting, definitely. If we were to trade for him, after I saw that Stefon Diggs trade, Stefon Diggs got traded to the Texans for a 2nd-round pick, and the Bills also tacked on a 5th and a 6th rounder for him. Now, Diggs has a lot more accolades than Higgins, has produced more than Higgins, but is also 30 years old. At the end of the day, I think Diggs is worth more than Higgins. Not by a lot, but because, like I just said, has produced a lot more in his career, but is older. Which leads me to think that we could get T. Higgins for a 3rd-round pick, maybe tack on a late-round pick with that, but he's not going to go for a 2nd-round pick or a 1st-round pick like there were rumors about. Not in my opinion, at least, and if he does, I don't want to trade for him at that price. With that being said, after he is traded, he's going to get a lot of money. I would guess that he's getting anywhere from $22 to $25 million per year in his deal. So you're probably looking at a 4-year, $100 million contract, somewhere in that ballpark. Could be low as 4 years, $190 million. Maybe on a higher year, you get a lower average per year. So it could end up being like a 5-year, $115 million contract, or a 4-year, $100 million contract. This is a guy I would love to see in a Patriots uniform, and I think is the most realistic to see in a Patriots uniform out of this list. Next, we got Justin J. Jettas Jefferson out of Minnesota. What's his deal? Well, supposedly he wants to break the bank. That's what he's said. It's been quoted numerous times by him. What does that necessarily mean? Well, Tyreek Hill got paid by the Dolphins. He got a 4-year, $120 million deal. So he's getting $30 million per year as the highest paid receiver in the league. If Justin Jefferson wants to break the bank, well, that means, to me, I could easily see him getting up to a 4-year, $140 million deal. That's good for $35 million per year. He's younger than T. Higgins. He's just 25. He's just 24. He turns 25 in June. In his time in the NFL, he's a 3-time Pro Bowler, a 3-time All-Pro. He won Offensive Player of the Year in 2023, and he was on pace to be a first-team All-Pro player and in the running for Offensive Player of the Year again this year, but unfortunately got injured about halfway through the season. He was on pace for 116 receptions, 1,825 yards, and 9 touchdowns this year, which would have put him in top 10 in a single season as far as receiving yards go. Pretty spectacular stuff. Now, what would it take to get Justin Jefferson? The Vikings are going to want a lot for him. So, in order for this to realistically work between the Patriots and the Vikings, it would have to involve the 3rd overall pick. Now, the Patriots also are not willing to give up the 3rd overall pick for nothing short of a ludicrous offer. I think a deal involving Justin Jefferson would look something like giving the 3rd overall pick for Jefferson, and then Jefferson and the 11th overall pick, and then either the Vikings' other first-round pick this year, the 23rd overall pick, or a 2025 first-round pick. So it would be the 3rd overall pick for Jefferson and 2 first-round picks on top of that. Is that going to happen? Probably not, but it is on the table depending on how willing Justin Jefferson is to play for the Vikings again. 3rd on the list, Brandon Ayuk, the San Francisco 49er. 49ers are running very short on money. Brandon Ayuk is just coming into his own. He's entering the prime of his career and is going to want a lot of money. And I don't know if the 49ers have the money to pay him. They said they want to extend him, but saying it and doing it are 2 completely different things. Ayuk just turned 26 in March. He was a 2023 second-team All-Pro, and he's only missed 1 game in the last 3 years of his career, which is very impressive. As you may have heard before, the best ability is availability. So, he definitely checks that box. As far as trading for him goes, I would think it would look something very similar to the A.J. Brown trade that was made during the 2022 NFL Draft. The Eagles received Brown, the Titans received the 18th overall pick and a 3rd round pick. Now, it's interesting because obviously there's a lot more value in the 3rd overall pick than the 18th overall pick. So, barring we make a trade, I would say that the Patriots would have to trade a 2nd round pick this year and potentially another 1st or 2nd round pick in 2025. I still think that's too much value to give up. Anyway, we're not trading the 3rd overall pick for Brandon Ayuk. It would have to be whatever that other pick involved in the trade is this year and maybe a 1st round pick next year. I still don't think we're going to be that good, and we're going to be able to have another high draft pick, unfortunately, next year. So I think that's too much value. But Ayuk's production is similar to Brown's production. So you're probably looking at 2 second-round picks, potentially a 3rd round pick, and our 1st round pick next year, depending on how confident Elliott Wolf is in our team this upcoming season and how committed he is to winning next season. Another thing that I saw, or that I thought of could happen, was, well, what if we trade back with the Vikings and do that like crazy 4 first rounders, including their 11th and 23rd this year, and the Vikings take our 3rd overall? Well, then it would be very similar to that A.J. Brown deal. We would have the 11th overall pick and the 23rd overall pick. So pick one or the other. If we traded the 11th overall pick, we'd probably attach a 6th round pick to it. If we traded the 23rd overall pick, you'd probably attach a 2nd or 3rd round pick to it. So that makes it more reasonable. In that scenario, you end up with Brandon Ayuk plus another 1st round pick this year, but you don't have the quarterback. So again, this is all contingent on how Elliott Wolf wants to approach this rebuild, what he's willing to give up. Out of these options, I think the most reasonable would be T. Higgins, and it gives you a legitimate X receiver for a rookie quarterback to throw to. There's not much going on around the league, so I will not be doing an intrigue around the league this week, but I will be back with another episode next week. Until then, I'll catch you guys.